All right, what's up, nerds? We have next installment of our series on the cleaning and pressing of this Avengers number 140 with a double cover. I did 2 additional presses since the last video. So I did one more wet press the way I said I was going to, just water only. Same process that we used before. And then I did a final dry press, which is what you're seeing me unpack right now. This is 2 magazine backer boards and a piece of silicone release paper. Here's our book, and I'll show you that the buffer stack in a moment. This is on the bottom 2 magazine backer boards, SRP, and then my aluminum plate. Okay, so I just had these here to demonstrate. I'm gonna get them out of the way so we can see the book. And I think we are probably gonna call it a day on this. I think we're done with it. I think we've improved it about as much as we can. So what was the stack here? Like the second press that I did, there's a 60-pound cardstock between the inner cover and the first wrap, and then there's a piece of copy paper between the 2 covers. Okay, that's true front and back. So copy paper between the covers, 65-pound cardstock between the inner cover and the first wrap. Then we have our magazine backer board as a buffer in the middle that we had cut little notches for the staples out of. And here's our book. So what do? We fixed this spine roll. We took all of the removable defects, all of the pressable and cleanable defects out of this cover and the inner cover. We now have a book that lays nice and flat, presents quite a bit better than it used to. The inner cover has some flaws. So you can see that there are spine ticks here. You see that there are color breaking creases here, here. We also know that the centerfold has 1 pulled staple. Check it out. George Tuska did the scenery, and old Vinnie Coletta inked it. Edited by Marv Wolfman. The story by Steve Englehart. So we know that the centerfold has pulled staple right here, and there's nothing that we can really do about that without tape or some other repair method. I think it's best to leave it. This back cover actually turned out pretty much flawless. The stains that we had are essentially gone. I think it's fair to say we have a tiny bit of loss of gloss where those stains were, but I think it's better to have a little bit of loss in the gloss than it is to have the stains. The stains on this page are also essentially completely gone. I mean, if you really look, there's a tiny discoloration here and here. And we probably could still do something about those, but I don't think they're going to affect the grade at this point of the book overall. So this back cover is actually quite nice. Nothing here to detract from the grade. And then this back cover is pretty nice. There's a little bit of soiling here, staining that did not come out with our wet or dry cleaning. And you have a little bit of damage around the staples to the paper. We still have a tiny bit of spine roll here, but it's not evident over here anymore. And so again, I think we're done with this book. So what is my final assessment? I think that this is going to grade largely based on this cover at approximately a 5.5 on the inner cover, maybe a 5 on the outer cover. So if we sent this to CGC and we asked them to slab it, it's going to be slabbed as an Avengers, 140, which is not a key book, as a double cover. Double cover market is tough because unless it's a key book, it's not necessarily going to bring a premium that you think it might because of the scarcity. Like, a double cover is way more scarce than, say, a Mark Jeweler, or even a Canadian price variant, or a UK price variant. It's one of the rarest, misprints or versions of a book you can have. It's not really, obviously, it's not a variant in the sense of, modern variants that are developed or marketed directly, specifically by the company. But by variant, I just mean variant of the book, a version of it. But it's one of those things that there are so few people searching for them that even though supply is dramatically decreased relative to the normal cover, or the normal version of the book, the demand is also way low. So I've heard people estimate that maybe a book with a double cover should be worth approximately twice what it would be without. I've heard some people say, well, if it has two covers and the inner cover grades as an 8.0 and the other cover grades as a 6.0, it should be worth approximately the same as an 8.0 and a 6.0 book combined. My experience has been that if it's a key book, you can actually get quite a bit more than double. If it's a non-key book, you're going to struggle getting much more than regular retail. You'll get more than regular retail for the book, but not a lot more. So regular retail, fair market value on an Avengers 140 that would be slabbed as a 5.5, maybe stretched to a 6 at best, is just not very much money. It's probably not worth sending in. It's better to kind of keep raw. So I think in the final analysis, this book's probably going to stay in my PC. It's going to stay raw, at least for the moment. If somebody's interested in the book or really wants it, I'd be happy to move it along or trade it or something like that with them. But I don't, unless somebody specifically wants this sub to CGC on their behalf, I don't think it's necessarily worth doing. I won't be doing it for myself or for, speculation or investment or anything like that. So I think this is the last video in this series. So in summary, what we did with this book was it actually went through a lot of presses, right? So it went through a first press where we just corrected the spine roll. We obviously dry cleaned all of it, inner and outer cover. Then it went through a second press after I had hand tooled the little indentations and other imperfections that didn't come out with a regular press. Then it went through a total of 3 wet presses. There was, it might have even been 4. There was a wet press with water. There was a wet press with 3% hydrogen peroxide, and another overlay press, which is a wet press with just water again, and then it went through a final press. So it went through a total of 6 presses. I think it presents a lot better. I think this was a good exercise and a demonstration of some of the tools and techniques for some of the issues that you come across. It is a cool and rare book, being a double cover issue of Avengers. But at the end of the day, something to enjoy. Probably not necessarily something to try to slab and flip. So I hope everybody enjoyed this little adventure with me. I enjoyed working on the book a lot. Again, I hope you enjoyed viewing it. And we're going to conclude this video series with this episode. So happy hunting and take care of one another. Let's wrap up this video series with a couple before and after pics. Here's the before of the front cover. You can see there was some bad soiling, especially obvious in the Avengers logo. And we had this spine roll. And you see we cleaned up the cover quite a bit. And the whites are brighter, the colors are brighter. We corrected this spine roll so it presents a lot better. On the back cover,
The spine roll was even more obvious. We had some light soiling back there. We cleaned that up so it's brighter, it's cleaner. We corrected this bad spine roll. We took a book that presented as about a 4.5, like VG plus, and we made it look like a fine minus, a 5.5, maybe a fine on its best day. So I'm very happy with the outcome, and I hope you enjoyed this series.